many of you recall an incident or an experience, a turning point, if you will, that forever changed the way you performed your job, raised your children, or even viewed others? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, I remember my first year teaching Spanish at Brooklyn Junior High. I felt so unprepared because I didn't have any previous work experience except for supervised student teaching. I felt confident with my language abilities, was excited to have my own classroom, and knew that I had great organizational skills. But I did not get enough classroom management training nor instruction in dealing with special needs students. My classes were made up of very diverse students. They were all freshmen, close in age, but they represented different nationalities and learning abilities. I had Black, White, Jewish, Asian, and Hispanic students, as well as 2 or 3 that were labeled LD, for learning disabled, and one student, a special needs student with a physical disability. His challenge was muscular dystrophy. As a Spanish teacher, it was important for me to make language learning a fun and positive experience for all of my students. I always encouraged them to participate in the class activities. I wanted them to make daily progress in their language activities, in their communication skills, and at the same time enjoy the cultural aspects of each lesson. Our cultural activities included a wide variety of fun experiences. For instance, Friday Food Day. We would have students volunteer to bring in a wonderful assortment of ethnic dishes for our class to sample. We also had a regular schedule for viewing Spanish language films with English subtitles. And once a month, we would listen to music and practice singing traditional Mexican and pop folkloric songs, like the Mexican hat dance, La Bamba, and La Cucaracha. One day, I decided that instead of just singing along with the music, that we would all get up and learn traditional Mexican dances, the kind that are performed by large groups at holiday festivities and at weddings. Oh, and let's not forget those popular line dances. Remember the Macarena? Now, wouldn't that be fun? I did all of the research and the costumes, the regional dances, located the necessary music, even choreographed a few dances myself. I applied all of my expert organizational skills into developing that lesson. Yet the night before I was actually supposed to teach the lesson, I tossed and turned in bed because I was certain that I had forgotten something. Or rather, as it turned out, someone. Oh no! I woke up in the middle of the night absolutely panicked. What am I going to do with Brian? I forgot about Brian. I can picture Brian as clearly as if we had just spoken yesterday. Brian was about 5 feet 5 inches tall, had sandy blonde hair, warm brown eyes, and the biggest crooked-tooth smile I saw every morning when I arrived at school. Brian had a physical disability. He was my special needs student who suffered terribly from muscular dystrophy. His left leg was twisted and turned inward like a pretzel from the knee down. He limped and hobbled with an uneven rhythm down our school hallways, yet he always managed to make it to class on time. He carried his heavy books over his shoulders in a black leather backpack, or when he could manage it, balanced them out in between his chest and left arm. His right arm, useless, bent at the elbow, pressed against his side, with his fingers curved and wrist twisted upward like a broken-winged bird, never to fly. Yet it never kept him from achieving all his educational goals. To me, Brian wasn't just a special needs student. He truly was remarkable. I worried all night about how I was going to handle that dance lesson. I didn't have any training for special needs students. I didn't know how to make accommodations. Do I make him sit out and watch the others? Do I write him a pass to the library for that hour? Do I force him to dance and risk being laughed at by the others? Or maybe, although it never happened, but just maybe, he would be absent that day. Oh, dear Lord, I prayed, please, just this once, make him be absent. Sure enough, the next day when I arrived at school, Brian was there to greet me. Buenos dias, Senora Pundyk. Oh, buenos dias, Brian. ¿Cómo estás? After several exchanges like this, I spoke privately with Brian about my plans for the day and offered what I thought was an excellent solution. I asked Brian to be my classroom helper and hit the play button on the tape recorder that day. Yeah, nice going there, Vitalia. Brian looked at me compassionately with those big brown eyes, understanding that I seemed more uncomfortable over that damn situation than he. He said, Mrs. Pundyk, if you don't mind, I think I'd like to try. Try? I asked. You mean try as my mouth fell to the floor? Yeah, I can try, can't I? Well, sure, I responded, that would be great. I can even get some of my buddies to help, he said. That day, I realized that I was the student and Brian was the teacher. I learned a very valuable lesson. Not to ever underestimate the abilities of someone with a physical challenge or a learning disability, nor to ever discount how great their contributions can be. That day was a turning point in my career that forever changed how I viewed my students. Fellow Toastmasters, wouldn't you agree that whether visible or not, each one of us has our own challenges? Let's remember to recognize and honor the fact that no matter what the challenge, each one of us has our own potential to achieve. Madam Toastmaster.